Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts I can make a difference to your life. Well, thank you for joining us on this podcast today. I have Jim sitting in front of me here looking very sheepishly and slightly nervous. But today, as the name of the show is called Effortless Attraction, I thought what a wonderful way to start off than by talking about how myself and Jim effortlessly attracted to one another. He's giving me looks here. My name is Evelyn McAleer and I hope you enjoy this podcast. And by the end of it, I always think if we can leave you with hope, with joy, with a smile on your face, and know that love does exist. And it exists when you're least looking about it. So, Jim, I'm going to start off with you. You can tell a bit, and I'll tell a bit of the story on how we did meet, our first interactions.
Well, our first interactions were quite neutral. I was looking for a dance teacher a couple of years ago, and I heard this woman up the road was doing dance lessons. I wanted to learn to jive. So I went for 3 dance lessons to Evelyn McAleer, and then the dreaded COVID came along, and that was that.
No more dancing. So after that then, the great things about COVID was that the dancing stopped, and I was writing my 3rd book. I had it written actually. And unfortunately, at the start of that year in January, my own father had passed away. So I decided I'm going to keep focused. I'm going to keep focused on doing what it is that I love doing. And I knew this man, Jim, was a videographer. And I had this idea in my head, right, everything's online now. So I'm going to create a video that's going to represent the book, The Woman's Journey. So that's when I reached out to himself and I gave him my idea, what I would like to do. And it wasn't even a bother to do that. And so I just want to give you a wee bit of background on myself. By this stage, I divorced, separated this 12 years. And Jim, you had been a widow.
Yes, my wife passed away 4 years previously. I've been married for 39 years, very happily married. And was working away. I'm happy as Larry. I wasn't looking for anybody and enjoying life.
Think any of us none of us were looking for anybody. So so we decided we'd head off and do the video. And so we went to a beautiful place called Benevna. Jim's a fond hiker, but he took me to this wonderful place and we started recording on the Friday. Now, Jim also is a drones pilot. So it was too windy that day to take out the drone. So we decided we'd go back on the Sunday.
Yeah, it's perfect conditions. Still beautiful sunshine and it was an early March morning, I think, or late February morning.
Yeah.
And then we'd finished the drone work, and I knew she needed some photograph still shots for her book as well. And she was sitting down with this lovely mist swirling behind her. It was very ethereal looking. So I decided...
What is that word?
Ethereal.
It is very ethereal looking.
You'll have to look that one up afterwards.
Yeah. This is what you'll find. Sometimes me and Jim are completely opposite, but he teaches me things and I teach him things.
Best not to know about all of them. But yeah, so I remember taking the camera out and looking through. I took about 12 or 13 photographs. And about halfway through, I was looking through the camera and she looked directly through the camera at me, and I thought, what happened there? I was looking around me thinking, what's going on here? And so I sent her the photographs.
Yes, so I will recap on that wee bit that Jim skimmed over. So it was such a beautiful day. I had such a feeling of peace in myself. And everything was right, and just a lovely place to be standing on a cliff edge, looking around the whole country. And as Jim said, I needed a photograph for the back of my book. Would I take some still shots? And he took one particular photograph, and for myself, I really felt that I had went through the camera lens. Like, what do you call it? Propelled, excelled, whatever it is, through the camera lens. And it was only months later that we discussed this when we did try and start dating, that it happened to us both at the same time. As I felt that I'd went through the lens, Jim was also receiving it.
Shockwaves hit me right through the lens, I think, at that stage, and left me a very confused man wondering what was going on.
Yeah.
And funny, the thing was too, there was 12 or 13 photographs taken, and that was photograph number 7. And I sent her all the photographs, and that was the one, without me interfering, that's the one that she chose for the back of her book.
It is. And that's the book, that's the photograph that's on the back of the woman's journey. So that was the weird thing that it kind of happened, and it left us both in a state of confusion. Left me in confusion because I thought, no, Evelyn, this is not the type of man that you normally attract or that you normally go for. And I'm quite sure for Jim, what did you said you could write a book. What was the name of your book going to be? How to lose
a stone weight in a week or something like that. Yeah. I think I lost a half a stone weight, and my daughters were starting to get very anxious about me. They thought I must have had COVID or something, and I just couldn't understand. I love my wife all those years, and you think to yourself, gosh, can this happen twice? And I had to wrestle with lots of thoughts, and it took a few weeks for me to come round a little bit, I think.
Yeah. That was the thing. I think we were left in a state of confusion because neither of us were looking for anyone. We were both happy enough in our own existence. But I always felt peace. I always felt this sense of peace in Jim's company. And you had said, without me blowing my own trumpet, that there was what's the word that you used? You said there was always an assurance, there was always a certainty.
Yeah, I think from the very start, I just felt a certainty about my feelings for you. It was like unquestioning. That's what confused me. There didn't seem very much logic in the whole thing.
There's certainty without the logic.
Yeah, I'm a type of a logical person. I thought, I kept saying to myself, this does not make any sense. It does not compute. And but anyway, it moved on, and we went to the next stage of going on little early morning walks together.
That's right. Well, we thought we'll give this dating thing a go and see how we get on. We started going out for walks. The proper dating way, I have to say, it was proper courtship. This man came to my house with flowers. And for me, that was even strange. What? That somebody come? Does this actually exist? Do men actually exist that come to your house to lift you, when I say lift, to take you for a spin in the car, to go for a walk, and they bring you flowers? And I didn't get one, I got 2 bunches of flowers because we'd made a mistake in the dates. We thought it was Mother's Day as well, but it was the week beforehand. And that's where we started off, getting to know each other just by walking.
And talking.
And maybe held hands.
That's right.
And we used to sneakily meet up at about 6 a.m. in the morning, didn't we? And go for walks just to get to know one another. And again, I know the title of this is called Effortless Attraction, which did happen, but you'll find that your mind will wrestle and it will throw everything up against you. And I do believe, I'm a big advocate in law of attraction. I do believe in universal energy. Jim was of a different mindset of thinking. There's quite a lot of things that we would have been opposites to each other, but there was something that just set well that we brought to each other. And one thing I always remember, and I've told this to Jim, that I was very happy and content being by myself as a single parent, 3 kids, very successful in my career and doing my books and things like that there. But I always had a feeling I'm not here to walk by myself. But whenever the right person is to come, they'll come. And one thing I kept affirming is that whomever is to step or enter into my life, that I share his dreams and visions as he does mine. I think that's very important, to support one another.
And that did evolve, and that did happen.
Yeah, it did. So moving on past that, when we got our heads wangled round the whole dating thing, are we right for one another? And yeah, we did. We trusted in, I think we trusted in that feeling.
I think trust is a good word to use for the whole way along the whole process,
Yeah.
at all levels. And I think one of the big feelings that I had to start to was guilt. I thought, gosh, guilt, can you actually love somebody else? And once I got over that, things became easier. And obviously then you had to let your family know as well. And that was the next stage, I suppose, for both of us too.
I know it was a strange thing for you, Jim, because again, this is where our opposites came in, because Jim had been with one woman all his life. Like, what age were you married at, Jim? Or no?
21.
Yeah.
21, yeah.
Like one woman all your life, and whereas I had dated other people as well, so we were coming from different angles there. But moving on from that, everything, when we look back now, and we only started seeing other in April of
Yeah,
2000,
March, April 2021, yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
And so December of that year, 2021, we moved into our new house together. We moved into the new house together. And May of 2022, we got engaged. And May of 2023, we're getting married. But yeah, it's fascinating whenever we take a look back and think, is that all the length of time it's been? Because we've always felt we've been together.
Yeah, we both had completely separate lives with and with children, families, careers. But it seems like, we had this talk the other day, as if we've always been together.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing, even though that has not been the case.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's been a lot longer than 17 months. But I think to a lot of other people, maybe families and friends, it seems like an awful lot shorter time.
Yeah, surely. Because everybody bases things on time, don't they? They give yourself time. But another thing too, Jim, like what you say too, with age, with lifetime experiences, time becomes very precious.
Absolutely.
And you never want, that's one thing I definitely have this, an appreciation of time, an appreciation of every day. And we're not reckless teenagers, although I think sometimes we might behave that way. But definitely what we've always had in common, even prior to before we met, huge gratitude.
I think, you do talk about gratitude so much in your work. And when I met you, I realised that I've been very fortunate to have this gratitude. And I suppose I live, my wife was quite ill most of her adult life with arthritis, and then obviously she passed away as well. So I was very conscious that I myself had the good luck to be a healthy, fit man, and still am that way. And I think if you can get up every morning and think, gosh, I have no pains anywhere, I can move, I can feel myself to get up and go on and enjoy the day, I think that's a huge thing to have. And I had that, and you've had that as well.
Yeah, we've always had gratitude, and it's a wonderful thing. Whenever you're not searching or needing or requiring anything to fulfill something that's missing within yourself, what you end up doing is bringing something to each other. You've brought so many qualities and gifts and everything that I never had before. And I feel that probably you'd say yourself anyway, that I've, done the same. We invite each other into each other's love rather than needing love from each other.
I think that word needs it, an important one. That if you think you need to have somebody, I don't think it's going to make for a strong relationship. And the good thing about ourselves is that we were two independent people, that we're happy in ourselves, that weren't looking for anybody else. And it's more of a sharing thing we have.
Yeah.
It's sharing.
It is. And so, as Jim would have his own line of work, I have my own line of work, but we also work together.
That's right.
I actually we do love it. The amount of time that we spend with each other of a week. I mean, you actually, I don't know, it's easy. Mm-hmm. It's effortless. Yeah. And at the start, whenever we first moved into the house together, I know for myself, it required effort on my behalf to get out of my old ways, to stop allowing myself to get annoyed with your habitual ways and vice versa, although you have greater patience than me. And it took effort on my behalf on that change. Sharing a bed with someone, sharing your life with someone, just sharing. And even when you were buying things or doing things, I find it very difficult to accept and to receive.
The independence that you showed, it was, God help us, it was desperate altogether. You didn't want me buying nothing for the house here. And the bother I had to explain to you that, well, I live here too. And, I'm not just getting it for you, it's for both sort
Both
of thing.
of us.
And we brought equal amounts to the house.
Yeah.
And there's so many things in this home. It's not our house, it's a home now.
It's a home.
There's so many things in this home that are yours from the past and mine, and then a whole lot of new things that we're sharing together. We decided jointly to get.
Yeah.
And I remember when we came in here, it was beginning of December. And one of the most fun things we did when there was no other furniture in the house was we got an extra Christmas tree and we spent a few hours just putting up the trees.
That's right. I'll start crying here now. I'm sitting looking at him. That was it. The joy, everything has been effortless. It really has. Moving into the house, manifesting this house. That's a completely different podcast in itself. But we manifested this house. We had exactly the vision, the amount of rooms, the views, the location. And the key with manifesting, as it's called, effortless attraction, regardless what it is that you wish to attract into your life, that you act as though the wish is already fulfilled. And we took the act, and I'm quite sure it might have been strange to Jim. I said, but what will divide us from everyone else is that we act as though it's already created. And therefore, we went out and bought the bed.
That's right.
And the woman in the shop said...
This was 2 or 3 months before we
That's
got
right.
the house.
No house had
we
shown
no house.
up. That's right.
No house, yeah.
And the woman said, could you give me the address that this is going to go to? And I said, well, if I told you it's still in the universe, would you believe me? So we had the things we had prepared for the move and just waited on the house to show up. And I think that might be for anybody who's listening, Jim, if and people if would desire or love to have love in their life or have another, or I would wish for people just to have a morsel or a taste of joy. We do have a wonderful life. We always keep saying how blessed that we are. Is if people are to act as though it's already created, do you believe then that just to love yourself, enjoy your own company, and if things are meant for you, they'll come your way?
Yeah, and even in the house now, like I work upstairs and the room upstairs, you're downstairs, and we mightn't even chat for 2 hours at a time. Once he's out of the other's room, we respect each other's space. And but if one calls the other to give a view on something or whatever it is,
like Jim having to come down here, Jim, come and do a podcast.
I think I have to run down a lot more than you come up to me anyway. Yeah, and by the way, if anybody's listening here, I've had about 3 minutes notice about this, so I'm not even had time to think about it.
But we've shared this story with so many people, and they say, what a wonderful love story. And I'm mindful of the time here that this has gone on to, but there's so much more to the story here too. Even the place or the venue where we're getting married and who's marrying us, it all just, everything has been arranged by WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, because we've all known and things have slotted into place. So, I want to leave you with this, as it says in the description there, really, about effortless attraction. It doesn't matter what age you are, and I'm not too sure if I mentioned age at the start here. There is an age difference between myself and Jim, but we don't see age. You don't see age at all. For other people, it could be different to handle. Never, ever stop believing in love. It exists. We're living proof of it ourselves, and we're so excited of what the future will hold. To attract someone into your life that you're worthy and deserving of, but in order to do that, you must be that for yourself, firstly.
There's no doubt about it. Well, you have to be happy in yourself.
Yeah.
And have your own goals as well. And the wonderful thing is, if you can get somebody to share those, well, that's a bonus. I think we sort of... we're using a big word here, augment each other's life. Augment is another one. It's just sort of, we add to one another's life.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing.
It is.
But I still allow space for one another.
Surely.
I think that's just getting that right. And it has not been without challenges for both of us in the last year. We're not going to paint this perfect picture. There has been challenges both of us had.
But I think the way around that, Jim, is being, in fact, we always say... Communication.
Absolutely.
Instead of people walking about and being afraid to say something, what will you think? What will he think? We have an open discussion.
Yeah.
And you accept each other, but it's not to point a finger to blame to someone, you done this, you done that, because that's not the right way about it either. Have a conversation, have communication, and that's how, as adults, that we're able to move on from it.
And then listen as well.
Listening.
Learn to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have fun.
Yeah.
Jesus, have fun and have the laugh. I think that's, and just love the simple things. Yeah. Simple things in life. Anyway, Jim, I am going to say thank you so much for being in my life, for being on this podcast. You do put a lot of trust in me.
You're getting very soppy now here.
You do put a lot of faith, but it is, I do believe in energy. I do believe in the law of attraction. I do believe that when something's for you, it's not going to go past you. And it doesn't mean that it won't come without its challenges and the battles of the mind and the thought. But go with your feeling. Always go with your feeling. I think it'll always keep you right, won't it?
It's sort of being at peace. The biggest word that we use all the time here is the peace that we have here.
Yeah.
And just be at peace with stuff.
And people love coming here and they feel a sense of peace and they're happy people when they leave as well.
That's right.
So thank you, whoever got to tune in today. And hopefully in the next one, I'll have just as great a podcast. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts, I can make a difference to your life. Welcome to another episode of Effortless Attraction. And on today's show, I am joined by Patty Moran, who is a neuroculture coach. Patty, you are most welcome today. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Evelyn. It's good to be here. Good to have a conversation with yourself.
Great. And I'm so looking forward to today's chat because the overall name of the show is Effortless Attraction. But today we're going to talk about effortless authenticity. Patty, I'm going to start off. We had a discussion one time before, and I wrote down a quote or something that you had said yourself. I'm going to start you off with this one. I don't see what you do. I see you. Would you explain that to us?
In the world that we're living in, I see so many people wearing masks and they're coming to work wearing masks. And sometimes we're looking at people, right? And sometimes we're looking at people, but we're looking at their qualifications, okay? And we tend to put people on pedestals. And the other side is we can tend to look and see what people are not doing. So there's a piece of work that I do with companies around inclusion. It's called psychological safety. And this is, where we're encouraging people to bring their whole selves to work. And so when you think of that quote, okay, so I don't see what you do. Okay, so Evelyn, I don't see what you do. I see you this morning. Okay, so I see you as a person, and then I can meet you where you are because you're a person. I'm a person. We don't need to put on these masks. I see it quite a lot in organizations and in the public in general. If we can look at people and look at them as human beings, and this like was Declan Kyle that mentioned human beings, not humans doing. So it's about seeing the person, not what they do, not the work that they do, not the qualifications that they have, just meeting the person where they are.
Do you feel though, Patty, it's something that when people, we're trying to live up to expectation, and if we didn't know each other, hello, Patty, my name's Evelyn, I'm an author, I'm a podcaster, I'm an inspirational speaker. Do we say these things to create an impression like me for what I do?
Yeah, because there's a lot of impression going on here, and sometimes, Evan, there's a lot of ego at play. So do you think that if I was coming on to your podcast this morning and putting you on this pedestal, I would probably show up as someone who I'm really not. Okay. So yeah, I think I do believe that there are people who are using, say, the mask, the order, and this is all amazing work. This is because we need to celebrate what we do as well. So this is not about hiding what we do, but it's about us showing up just as us. Okay, let's park the ego. Okay, because if there's ego attached to you, you're trying to be someone who you're not. If there's ego attached to me, I'm trying to be someone who I'm not. And then it's all false.
I remember that actually. I've done it myself, hands up. I remember meeting someone that I admired greatly, and I had them on a pedestal because I saw what they'd done rather than them as a person. And I think I remember our first connection. I was like, oh, I have done this and I have done that. And I was showing them photographs. And the person that I was speaking to, very, very humble. They don't see titles. They don't see what people have done. They see that quote, I see you. And they said to me, Evelyn, you are much more than that. And I often think there's a quote that Wayne Dyer had: if I believe that I am that, what am I when I am not that? So when you spoke about the ego there, Patty, and I know sometimes we see the ego as people, oh, they have a big head about themselves. They think mighty about themselves, but the egoic part of ourselves attaches to many things. So if I believe that I am all these things, who am I and what am I when I am not? So, Patty, you work with teams, you go into organizations, you work with the culture in team environments. What is your mission when you step into those environments?
Yeah, my mission, I'm all about connection. So one of my values is connection. I just love connecting with people. So when I go into organizations, every day I wake up and go, okay, so my job today is to connect teams, to connect leaders, so to connect them together, connect them to the company goals, connect them to the company vision. So for me, it's all about this connection. Okay, so how do I connect the team so they can perform at a much, much higher level and enjoy what they're doing? Key word there, enjoy what we're doing, because culture is how, sometimes people think of culture and, I think it's like this pink and fluffy thing. Okay. Culture is real. Culture is how we do our work together. It's a set of shared habits. And when we can get a team working together, that's when the magic happens. So for me going in, it's all about connecting the teams, connecting them to a sense of purpose, because we're spending most of our life in work. So so I'm on a mission to make organizations more human. So let's bring our whole selves to work. And yes, we have the qualifications and they're required, but let's see the real people, their true selves. So that's just be my mission every single day, Evelyn.
And what a great mission it is. Do you feel sometimes that we have bosses or organizations will feel, well, I value there's your pay. I value there's a great canteen for you. And that's as far as we can possibly see, that you should be happy enough coming into your work. You're getting good pay. You have great facilities for having your dinner in. Does there need to be a bit more? Are people wanting more fulfillment from what it is that they're doing?
Absolutely, 100%. So it's fantastic when you go into these organizations when they've got great facilities, they've got the snooker tables or the dartboards or ping pong tables. A lot of small organizations can't afford to do this. Okay, so having all these facilities is amazing, but it's not enough, because we need to feel a connection. I can't connect to a snooker table. I can't connect to a ping pong table, and it's only something that I get to do on my break. So people are looking for more fulfillment. We look for fulfillment outside work, but inside work, it's the very same. So, we bring, we're not living in the 1970s, 1980s anymore. We bring our hearts and emotions to work. Okay. I remember when I first started working, and I would have heard certain things like, oh, leave your emotions at the door, park that at the door. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if you just had this little button in our brain that we just go, I'm just going to turn off my emotions for the day and be a robot. So people are looking for more. And for me, this more is all about meaning. It's all about connection to each other as a team, connection to the company, connection to making a difference in the world, because every organization is making a difference in the world. So we need to connect teams to that, with that difference that the organization is making in the world, and that this all boils down to purpose.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel, and at the end of the day, businesses are in business to make profit. Otherwise, they can't exist. They can't afford to pay staff. They can't afford premises. Do you feel yourself, and I think you touched on it earlier on, that if people are more joyous about going to their work, that they connect more with their team, that the business will become more fruitful?
100%. Like if I enjoy what I do and if I'm seeing that I can make a difference every day, of course I'm going to enjoy I'm going to perform better. I'm going to show up better for my work colleagues, and I'm going to show up better for my customers, for the customers of the organization. So this is a absolute ripple effect. Okay, so we've got this engagement in work. I'm happy in work. Now, of course, I'm going to go the extra mile to look after my customers. So it is good customer experience, and to increase turnover has to start with our people. Having a product is one thing, but we need our people to deliver that product. And if they're not 100% happy or engaged, they're not going to deliver that product as well as they could be if they were engaged.
And isn't it something that makes you return to a business that as a customer or client, you feel that you matter? I actually matter. And yes, I bought something from them, but I matter. And it must be the same for staff working in a business, that I actually matter.
Yeah, and like there's two things. So that I matter, that I'm making a difference. Okay, and we have to help each member of our team. We have to show them the difference they're making. So it doesn't matter where they work. If they're working in sales, if they're they're picking a box in a warehouse, both them people, that salesperson and that person picking a box, are making a difference to a customer somewhere. Okay, so we have to connect to the difference that everybody in the organization can make to a customer's life. And even going around, so this is what I do for a living. But I walk into restaurants, coffee shops, petrol stations, and it's when I meet someone that's smiling and happy in their job, it makes me feel good, and I'm leaving that petrol station in good form. Whereas if you go into a petrol station or a coffee shop and someone's not engaged and they're grumpy or they're moaning, or you can clearly see they don't want to be here, the likelihood is I'm not going to go back to that place.
Patty, just back, I'm going to go back to yourself here, and we're talking about authenticity, about people being real. And sometimes we become the people pleaser. We mold ourselves how we think we should be because I suppose our own role models, we think we have to behave and act like people above us or before us have done. But you had said, I remember you saying that you spent 35 years of your life not being you. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so before I came out, so I came out when I was 35. So I would have spent, 35 years, apart from time I was really, really young. So I just spent years being somebody else, trying to be someone else, putting on this mask, trying to be someone who I wasn't. Okay, so I wasn't being my authentic self. And so what's happening? Say from a neuroscience point of view, we have a part of our brain and an area in the prefrontal cortex, which is where we do all our kind of executive thinking. It's part of the brain we need to be working from the whole time. And there's this part of that brain that has like a braking system, Evelyn. So stop us from eating that extra slice of cake, right? And so it's like if you can imagine brake pads on a car. Okay, so every time you push a brake pad, it's wearing down. Now, when I'm not being my true self, so when I wasn't being my true self, okay, not my authentic self, this braking system was on, okay, because I had to hide, certain emotions. I had to hide who I was. So this braking system was on every single day, okay, using up loads of my brain energy, okay, every single day, using up energy to be someone who I wasn't. Now, if we're being inauthentic, okay, and over time, if we're not being ourselves, we can't show up as ourselves. Okay, these brake pads in our brains, it's very same as in a car. They'll keep wearing down, Evelyn. And you know what happens when if your brake pads in your car goes, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, and this can lead to, it's going to lead to stress, it's going to lead to burnout. So yeah, for me, knowing what I know now, I go, wow, at the amount of time that I spent being inauthentic, I suppose. But I suppose I had to go through that to be where I am now. So, so that's why, I'm on this mission to make organizations more human. So let's bring our whole selves to work. Okay. Let's let's try and remove these masks. And this requires a huge amount of vulnerability.
Yeah. And it might not be today or tomorrow, but you know yourself when you step into workplaces, I suppose it comes from leadership. Is it hard for people to change their way of thinking how staff should be, or they have a perceived idea? No, this is the way it was when I was growing up. This is how it should still remain, because this other stuff's far too soft. It involves emotions.
Yeah, and it's like, and it does, and it does have to start from the top. And yes, it does take time because so over time, we're going to have wired our brain to, this is how we should perform. Okay, so here's my expectations, and if I'm asking a leader to be vulnerable, to show, because if we want our teams to be vulnerable, the leader has to demonstrate vulnerability. Okay, to go, here I am as a person. Okay, so yes, it does take time, and because what we're doing, we're rewiring our brain. We're changing the makeup of our brain. So we're changing our ways of thinking. We're changing the ways of doing things. So it does take time, but when it happens, the shift in organizations is huge, huge.
Yeah. And all for the greater of everyone, not just business life, but home life and your customers' experience life. We have no idea, I think, sometimes the huge importance of showing up as our best self and the ripple effect that that has for humanity.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe, just you mentioned humanity. I believe, the evolution of humanity is about us becoming more authentic, removing these masks. That's the next evolution, and it's going to take time. But if we can see people, for who they are, not what they do, and we engage in these, like, I see these lovely conversations when we do this work in organizations, and you hear people go, "Oh my God, I never knew that about you," because we ask this, and you see it, you hear this question the whole time, and it's done in a very, it's something that we have to do. You say to someone, "How are you?" Okay, and there's no meaning behind it. It's just like, "How are you?"
They don't want to know. It's just,
yeah.
it's like,
So just like, "Oh, don't tell me."
how are you doing? How are you doing? Not so bad. Grand. On you go. And it's always the not so bad that, good. How about yourself? And you're like, holy smoke, I didn't expect a full conversation here.
Yeah. Yes, it's, and like, there's nothing as nice and as lovely as when someone says to you, "How are you?" and to just sit and listen to you.
I would say that is everybody's dream. I think I was speaking to a lady this morning. She was saying her son last year didn't want to go to school. Oh, it brought me back to those days, fighting with them to go out to school. And I thought, imagine if, I'll take example schools, that the teachers were, I can't wait to get into it. I love what I do. And the children were just equally as excited.
Yeah.
I love what I do. And then we transpire that into the workplace. My boss loves, he or she just loves what they do. I love working there. It's just a fabulous place to work. And then, we see it as business and home life, but it has to be the same at home too. I love going to their house. They're wonderful people. Just, they see me, they have time for me. And yeah, we're there to do a job. Do you feel that perhaps bosses might have a concept that, look, if I get into all of this emotion stuff and allow people to share things, they're going to slack off here. They're going to think I'm a bit soft on them. So I have to be firm here to get the work done.
We do need to be firm. Okay, so we're in a job. Okay, so we've got a job to do. So this is not about, okay, everyone coming in and having to crack, right?
Yeah.
And everyone slacking and everyone talking about their emotions. No, this is, we've got a job to do. But if we can connect with each other, on this human level, and do our work well together, then we're going to create this better workplace. But there is that element of accountability. 100%. We need that accountability within the workplace. But accountability, people become more accountable for themselves when they feel engaged in their job. So if I genuinely love what I do, and I love when I go into organizations to hear, Paddy, I actually love my job. You know, I was very, very lucky in my last job that I was able to say, I actually love my job. Like I love my job because the culture was right. The leader was great. I just did my work. So no one had to be firm on me because I just did my work because I enjoyed what I did, number one. And I had autonomy to get on with my work. And plus to be connected on this human level, which is really important.
Paddy, I'm going to start winding things up here now. You have a webinar coming up now, if you want to share that out.
Yeah, so I'm doing a webinar with a great guy called David Gann, okay? And it's called Leading with Mental Wellbeing. I think some employers can be scared to have these conversations. They don't know how to have these conversations because they haven't been trained to have conversations. So myself and Dave, we met through local enterprise board, and you know he's in the mental health area. I'm passionate about mental health. So two of us combined to do this webinar to help leaders understand mental health and how to have that conversation around mental health, around well-being in the workplace. Because again, here's bringing our emotions to work. So why we're doing our webinar is to help leaders. That's our purpose. Great. So to help leaders have these conversations.
Fabulous. Can you give us where people will get the time, date, or sign up for this? Is it on your social media pages?
Yeah, it's on my social media pages. So it's October 13th at 1 p.m. Irish time, and it's on my my social media. So you'll find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So it's Paddy Moran, neuro coach, and then my website then is paddy-moran.com.
paddy-moran.com. Well, Paddy, thank you so much for being on today. And yeah, if we can deliver that message to be authentic. And when you start remembering, oh, this is me, it can become effortless authenticity. Do you believe that, Paddy? It's
absolutely
effortless to be authentic?
Absolutely. It can be. Absolutely 100% it can be. And you know, and it's just really getting to know ourselves, you know, so who am I? You know, what's my purpose? What's my values? And then show up in the world and to make a difference when you're clear in this. Yeah.
Yeah. Paddy, I could spend ages talking away to you, but thank you so much for your time today, your knowledge, your wisdom, your lovely company. And I hope anyone that's listening to this, that you benefited from it. And if anyone wants to reach out to Paddy to help out in their organization, you will get all his details on social media pages, and I'll put a link to his website in the description of this podcast. Paddy Moran, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Evelyn.